Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose.
How you doing this morning, Jerrod?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. We're back on the old Zoom recording.
Zooming it up, man. It's been a while.
It has been a while. You're getting ready to move. By the time we record this one will actually be airing when you're already on the road.
Yeah, I'll be on the beach already, hopefully, by the time this airs.
That's pretty awesome. I'm proud of you and excited for the new journey in your life.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an exciting time. We had a really awesome send-off party this past Saturday. Had a lot of people there. Felt really loved. It was cool. Got to make a toast, thanking everybody and reminding them, this goes for the community as well, the OPP community here in Fort Collins, that even though I'm moving away physically, geographically, that everyone who's been a part of my journey will still be with me. The person that I am today includes a village, includes a tribe, includes our community, and I got to share and give some gratitude and appreciation to everyone who came out to that party. I'm going to take this moment now to just say thank you to you guys, all of our listeners, all of our community, for believing in me and supporting me from day one. And just know that you were with me on this next step. So thank you guys.
Just make sure you put some sunscreen on them. I can't have getting sunburnt out there.
I'm going to be golden bronze, baby.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. Change and growth, or change is inevitable and growth is optional. I think that's a pretty cool saying, right?
Yeah.
You're embracing this opportunity to grow with the change. So I'm personally, I'm telling you off air, I haven't even realized that I'm gonna miss you yet because I don't feel like you're going anywhere. Like
Right.
We have enough connection that I'm just excited for the community you're gonna grow and where everything goes from here.
Yeah, thank you. We're definitely going to be spinning our roots in Florida. There's no other option.
No, I think it's gonna be fun, and I'm excited to get to work on those other projects we've talked about and really see how big we can make this podcast and then grow the community.
We haven't let the OPP community know yet about what's happening in October, have we?
No, not fully. We've teased it a few. So once you get there, I think it'll be time to launch it. All
right, we got some exciting news coming up. How's Montana, Jerrod? You're out of town right now, getting some cool things ready.
Yeah, I'm dude, I just gotta tell you, I'm blessed, man. Like I'm just at a stage in my life where like I am just blessed. That's the only way I can put it. Like I don't know how else to say it. It's been just a weird journey through COVID and all that stuff to this point. But yeah, I'm blessed, and I think you're a big part of it, and what we talk about on this show and how we lead people has led me to some new places in my life, and it's exciting,
Amen. We are blessed, brother. Well, I'm excited to get into this episode because off air we were talking a little bit about the development that both of us have had on this topic, and I think you're kind of experiencing it right now, coming full circle back to Montana. Experienced a lot of this, but episode 106 is about accepting people where they are. And I want to kick this off, Jerrod, by asking you the question of why do we judge and find it hard to accept people if they're in different places than us or have different beliefs than us?
And, thinking that through, I think we judge and we want to change other people when we're really not at peace with ourselves. When we're actually not happy with ourselves or we're not comfortable with ourselves, we try to make other people change. And I don't know, I've been thinking about that a lot because of what you and I do. Part of our business is to facilitate change for people that want it, and help them move towards their own goals and stuff. But I think that's the cool thing when we run classes or we speak with people, they identify their goals and we just help them believe in it. We help them create the steps to get to it, but we don't make them change. And I think where I've struggled in life is necessarily not accepting other people who don't want to change. And for me, a lot of times, if you didn't want to change, if you had no interest in getting better, I would just move on without you, you know. And now, as I'm getting older, and we both recently had deaths in our life. Mine was a dog, but yours was one of Courtney's friends. You realize that there is a place for everybody, or they can be, even if they're necessarily not moving on the same path from you or with you. And I reflect back to even you when you talked about your dad. And even though you guys weren't super close, you weren't on the same path with a lot of things, when you found out he was sick, you immediately cleared your schedule and went there and supported him and offered him tools of change, but you didn't put all your energy into saying, I got to make you change.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really good example. And that's what one that I had thought of as well. I agree with that sometimes it can come from a good place, right? Like I think for you and I, we want people to be doing the daily meditation and the daily gratitude and the daily exercise and eating well and all these things that are so good for us. And it can be hard for us to understand and sometimes even accept when someone is doing something that is very opposite of what we believe are the foundational tools to living your best life. Maybe someone who's a daily drinker, right? An
Yeah.
alcoholic, or someone who's just always negative and always complaining. I think for us that can be hard to accept. But I think that off air you were talking about how it can be difficult to accept people when we want them to change themselves for the better, right?
Yeah.
Or for what we believe is better. And I think that just maybe truly accepting people for where they're at might be that first step to truly creating change, helping them create change, is really acknowledging, accepting, like, all right, let's look at your life right now. Let's look at your dominant habits and really getting them to accept where they're at. I think a lot of people say that in order to change, you have to accept what the truth is right now.
Yeah, but see, I would even say that part of my peace on this trip has been that I don't want to change them. Like, I'm literally completely at peace with however they want to live their lives. I will spend some time with them. And when I spend that time, it's
Who's
not.
they and them?
Well, I mean, some of you guys read my book. My relationship with my dad's never been the strongest. And for a lot of times when I'd come back, it would be like this tension of, okay, I got to go see him, but we got to put all these rules around it. And then, half the time we're spent being together, you're kind of like, man, there was so much potential here and we could be doing so much different stuff. Um, Whereas now I'm just like, man, this is his life. Like, I have no obligation to change his life, but I can love him in this little space I have.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that I'm going to adopt those habits or that I'm saying like, this is good for you. Like, when we're together, like, I'm going to push him a little bit, make him go on some walks and make him do some things that could potentially make him better. But I think it's just a shift of a lens, right? And I talked to my mom about this the other day. Just when we go see somebody, we're just going to accept them where they are for today. Right. And like, if they want to change, yeah, I can help you change. If you want to get up, meet me for a walk, I'll go walk with you. If you want to not drink, I'll help you not drink. But I'm not going to show up for the one time I get to see you. It might be the only time I see you this year. spend all my energy wishing you were doing something different instead of just being like, hey, you chose this, you're an adult. I'm just going to love you right here. And I think for me, that's a huge growth, honestly, that I attribute a lot to you and to what we've talked about here and to just reflection. Like, as a true leader, we don't need to burden ourselves with everything everybody else could become.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have an obligation to show up in a space that if you want to be led, I'm open for you.
Yeah.
And then at the same point, I can also follow, right? Like, you've led me on some different things. So I think those are roles that sometimes we don't allow ourselves to get into, right? If we're a leader in certain aspects of life, we refuse to follow in others. And I think that's truly the balance of where we should want to be. As I lead in certain places, I follow in others, because we all have deficiencies.
I love it. I love it, man. And just hearing how you interacted with your father on this trip, it warms my heart, because I know, and you shared too, even like how you ended your last book.
Yeah.
A lot of people reached out to you and were like, "So are you gonna have a part two?"
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing, and you were even like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
it just is what it is, and I think that that's a huge lesson that now you're really going to be able to share and spread with others, is not only accepting people where they're at, but loving people where they're at.
Yeah.
And I have an example too of one thing that I learned from two really hard deaths that have happened to me within the last 2 weeks, just boom, boom, back to back. My grandmother and a very close friend of mine, Courtney's roommate, my girlfriend's old roommate, who I used to see a lot being over there and staying over there, and we developed a relationship of our own. But both of them passed away 1 week apart from each other, so I had a lot of time to really deal and reflect with death. And my father had called me. I told him about Amanda's passing, and gave him my condolences, and then began to complain about his sister. He's like, "Have you talked to your aunt?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And he was so mad because, and they argue and they butt heads. And he was like, "Well, don't talk to your fucking aunt. She's a fucking bitch and this and that. And she's a liar and all this stuff." And I let him kind of vent for a little bit. And he was just going off about how shitty my aunt was, his sister is. And I was like, "Pop, let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there for a second." And I was like, I want to tell you something that I've learned from Sittle passing away, from Amanda passing away, and something that I'm choosing to do with my life. I don't care what you're saying. I don't care. I don't care if my aunt, if you're right, if she's the biggest bitch and the biggest liar and the biggest whore and the biggest fucking whatever. I don't care. What I want to do, I maybe see her, if I'm lucky, maybe once a year. It's more like once every 2 or 3 years. Okay. So when I see her, I just want to love her and love all the great things about her. Because you know what? Maybe she did say some super mean shit to you. Maybe she did tell you a lie. Maybe, but life is so short that I don't even want to care about that. Okay, Pop, I just want to love her and love everyone in my family, like your brothers that you talk shit about too. Same thing. I don't want to hear it. Okay. If you need a vent to me, I'm just going to tell you, okay, Pop, well, guess what? I still love them. And that's what I'm going to do when I get to see them. I just want to love them for all the amazing things that they have. We're all human beings. Even Jesus Christ committed sins, right? Everyone's going to lie at some point. Everyone's going to do something shitty. We're human beings. That's our nature. No matter how much inner work we've done, there will be some point where we fuck up and do something that someone else doesn't like. But guess what? If it's my family, people that I love, I just want to love them. And it was interesting because he was kind of taken back. He just kind of paused and he was like, "Well, it's your life. Like, you can do whatever you want," kind of thing. But I could tell it hit him, and he was kind of thinking about that too. I was like, imagine if one of them died tomorrow, just like my friend who is 25 years old and unexpected death.
Or even, what about this, Ollie? His body's fighting cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think your body's going to fight disease better telling people not to love those around them? Or would you think your body might actually have a better chance if you just show up at peace? And instead of having your body go through the stress and the weight of carrying grudges and anger and what ifs. You're just like, fuck it, this is it right here. Right here in this moment, it's all I got. It's peaceful, it's easier, it's lighter on your feet, and I go back to when you start to know yourself and you get comfortable with yourself, you can start applying more grace to others, right? Because you're absolutely right. We're all imperfect. We all do dumb things that we wish we hadn't. We have all hurt people. We've all harmed people. But I would hope that anything I've done that's hurt you, that's alienated you, when we talk about and work through it, now I get to show up and we're still in that light, fresh air. And if you want that for yourself, then you got to be able to give that to others. And I just, yeah, I just reflect on what you and I talk about and our connection. I'm like, we could create more of this for people. Like part of why you and I get along so well and why I love you the way I do is like literally we just show up. What I mean? Like neither of us have to be anything for the other. We just show up however we are. We're like, man, this is a great day. And what if we apply that to everybody? And just like one of the things I've been journaling about every day is I one of my mantras that I talk about in my meditation is that I want to find joy and happiness in all the people I meet, even the crabby Walmart worker or the dude that's flipping me off in traffic. Like I want to find joy and happiness in the people I meet and any obstacles I encounter.
I love it.
Right.
So Jerrod, how can we go ahead? Did you have
No, go ahead. No, I just think when we shape how we're going to approach things, we can find a lot, even in people or places where we didn't think we belonged, we can find a lot to love.
Amen. So let's get into that, Jerrod. How can we accept people when they're in totally different places? And let's take it a step further. How about when they're in places that we may allow, because that's what it is. It's not what they're doing. It's what we allow to like repulse us. Okay. So let's say it's someone that's completely on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like you're a health nut and it's like a friend of yours. It's a complete alcoholic, or, you're so, you're so right and they're so left, or whatever it is. How can we start to accept and maybe even love these people that are totally different than us, whether it's a family member, a friend, or whatever?
I think it's what we've talked about before in like Circle of Five and stuff. I have my people that influence me, right? Like, I have a business idea. I'm going to go to my Circle of Five that has business ideas. I'm not going to go to the person that's never ran a business or has no. So I can create different levels of influence that you give me. So like I can be around somebody that I completely disagree with, but that I've known for a whole lifetime and just appreciate their perspective. I have no obligation to argue with them. So I think part of that is just setting the boundaries. Like just because I'm around an environment where, say, everybody drinks all the time and I don't drink much, I can be there for a little bit, and then I can know to remove myself, right? I can set limits. So, and I think that's where I've struggled in the past is I've been all or nothing. Like you're either completely aligned with me or I'm just moving on without you. And I think that hasn't been the best, to be honest with you. I think, like talking to my aunt for the first time in 30 years, and literally I'm talking to her, I'm like, how did I not make time on any trip to talk to you for 30 freaking years? Part of it was I just didn't prioritize it. And two was something I think happens to a lot of us is we always think, this time I'm busy. I got to get back. I'll do it next time. I'll get it next trip. And literally for me, I was literally thinking like I had that happen for 30 years.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's a fantastic point of setting limits, because a lot of us do fall into that trap of believing all of our relationships have to be all or nothing relationships, right? Like, for example, going back to the example of my aunt, I maybe get to see her once every 2 or 3 years. It's definitely not an all or nothing relationship. So I can choose and I agree 100% with what you're saying of, you have your circle of five, that if it's someone completely opposite of your beliefs, or what brings you joy and happiness, that you don't have to stay there. But what I like to do is really challenge, and what you're seeing, what you're saying, your quote there of, and it's not verbatim, but really trying to find the aspects of this other person or group of people or whatever that you can love and that you can appreciate. Even the ones that may be repulsive, like going back to my father, for example, it can be repulsive that he has such a short temper. He'll yell, he'll scream. But one thing that I can love and appreciate about that man is that he has no filter. He's going to tell you what he believes. He's going to be truthful and honest with you, no matter what, right? So it can be that mix of what you said, placing limits, searching for these silver linings, things that you can love, and realizing that relationships don't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah. And then I would even add changing the scales of influence. And what I mean by that, like when I'm a kid, a teenager, early 20s, trying to make decisions, and like when your parents say something, like it carries weight because you don't have a lot of life experience. And I think that's one of the things that's really helped me this time is just realizing like I don't really care what everybody else thinks of my life. Right. So like if somebody doesn't agree that I should sell my house or not sell my house or sell a business, not like it doesn't matter to me. So I'm not going in asking what do they think about it, taking on this weight of all their opinions. I'm literally just showing up to enjoy them in the moment, understand their life a little better, share where we could share, and just appreciate that. What if that is the last moment? Right? What if, like I didn't know my dog was going to literally in a week just die on me. You didn't know that her roommate was going to pass away unexpectedly. You had just talked about your grandma beating COVID shortly before she passed away. So I think one of the things that I've done is just take on a lens of, okay, some of these people I may be seeing for the last time, just the way life works. And if it is the last time, do I want them feeling like I was judging them for drinking, that I was not going to be around them because of something that happened 30 years ago when I was 12 years old? Or do I want them to remember, man, like this is just a dude that genuinely loved people and just appreciated he helped others be better, and maybe this group doesn't want to be better. They're completely happy with what they're doing in life, or they're content, and I'll just love them there. Like I have no obligation to change that because this could be the last time you and I talk. We have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times have I gone to people or showed up without that perspective, and would I have changed how I interacted?
Probably.
Think about that for a second, Ollie. If you and I go and we're like, okay, today we're going to treat everybody we encounter, everybody, like it might be the last time I see you. We're probably not going to be pissed off that, it takes 3 minutes in line at the coffee shop. We're probably not going to be super angry at the teenager bagging groceries that fucking put the wrong thing on the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I think for me, I guess to bring that whole home, it just shifted to what's really important. And like when I get to spend time with my dad, as limited as this, is it important for me to remember all the stuff that we've done that maybe I liked or didn't like or didn't agree with? Or should I just love the moment we have?
Couldn't agree more.
And we get to choose that, right?
Of course.
Nobody else can decide that for us. Like you and I, if you disagree with everything I'm doing, when we get together, you can still show up to choose to just love what you have.
Yeah. So how about this, Jerrod? Do we need to change ourselves in any way to meet people in different places?
I think you got to change your perspective, at least for me. I mean, I am still the same person, right? Like, spending this time here, I'm not going to not have goals. I'm not going to not have dreams and businesses and do all the stuff you and I talk about doing. but I do allow that there is space for everybody in the journey, and what do you think on that? Do you have to change?
I don't think you have to, but I think you can be strategic and even more effective in being open to not necessarily changing, but maybe mirroring and maybe doing things that the other person enjoys to do. Like even in conversations, the psychology behind mirroring each other. Maybe you'll start to use certain words that the person you're with is using. You change your speech a little bit, you change your body language a little bit, and even taking it a step further, you maybe even decide like, you know what, this person, like, yeah, we do daily meditation, daily exercise. Like alcohol isn't a big part of our lives, but maybe you decide, you know what, I'm gonna have a couple beers with my dad, right? You figure you decide that because I know he likes to drink, right? Or I'm gonna go see this show with my friend, even though I don't like these kind of shows, because I know that that means a lot to him, right? I think that we can be strategic and effective with choosing choosing to do things that we know the other person enjoys, and that can be more effective in helping you accept people where they're at and build that connection to become even stronger.
Yeah, no, I love it. What about this, dude? One of the things that you and I have talked about is the world is so divided,
Hmm.
and it's pumped in our face all the time. Well, and how does that division? How is that allowed to happen? Well, it's when I take information in that you tell me I shouldn't like this group, and then every time I show up around a group or somebody that believes that, I put up these barriers to not want to even engage. And I'm like, what if I actually showed up to somebody that doesn't agree with me, open with love to learn and to understand? We could take our power back, right? And think about it. When you dismiss people because they don't agree with you, or they don't live like you live, or they don't look like you look, or they don't believe what you believe, you're missing out on a whole segment of people. What if that one encounter you had with somebody from that group was meant to change your life? What if the universe aligned you two because you were so opposite that if you could come together, the results would be something that changes the world because of your perspectives? Yet, how many of those encounters will never take place because we won't be open? And I think I'm guilty of that. I think for a lot of my life, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to get out of police work, is because police work is all judging. You look at a crowd, you survey, and you kind of pick out, okay, who's causing trouble here? It's defensive, it's barriers, it's okay, I'm talking to this guy, but he's lying about, what is he lying about? I'm not really listening to you. I'm trying to figure out, and I wanted more in my life than just to constantly be in that frame, and
Hmm.
it's like 2.5 years since that's passed. I think I'm finally kind of, like you mentioned earlier, like peace, a little more peaceful. I think I'm finally breaking through some of those communication habits that were ingrained for over 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've all been guilty of that, right? Because what we're talking about here, Jared, is a very high vibrational place to be, and we're talking about God status. Okay, it is godly to be. I mean, what are the many names that we give to God? The all loving, all forgiving, the most merciful. This is the concept that we're talking about here, to be godlike. In the Bible, even Jesus Christ says it's easy to love, and this isn't verbatim, so don't quote me, but pretty much saying like it's easy to love people who love you, right?
Those
The
who are
loved
easy, yeah.
ones, right? But what is truly challenging yourself is to love thy enemies, right? Love those who have hate towards you or who are totally different than you. That's what being godly is all about, right? Trying to reach enlightenment is having this unconditional love. We just had a episode recently about the purpose of pets, right? And how we can look at dogs specifically and how it's amazing that they love so unconditionally, right? It's funny how we're talking about being godlike, but even dog-like, right? Of being loving without accepting anything in return, or without having these pre-existing qualifications or requirements to just love. Because when you can get there, it's hard, but then you also receive this godlike feeling of joy and empowerment, to where you can practice this unconditional love. And of course, again, we're human beings. Nobody's ever going to be able to never ever judge, never ever have a little bit of resentment, dislike. But if you can really condition yourself and train yourself to not judge, to be loving and all accepting, then you're going to reap the benefits of that more consistent joy, of this fuller heart, of this fuller soul and spirit. And it feels good. Love feels good.
And I think you're lighter. Like I physically feel lighter. Like you're just not carrying stuff with you that has no purpose in your journey anymore. You're not carrying baggage from 30 years ago when you were a kid, or 20 years ago when you were a kid. And peace brings lightness, and it brings openness and opportunity. And you and I did the exercise, and then I shared it with my family of like, okay, if you have 1 year to live and you're going to die a year from now, what would you be doing? And like, one of the things I think about every morning is like, if that's true for me, what am I doing today? And does everything mean something to somebody? And even if it's something mundane, like we talk about going to the grocery store all the time, even if it means going to the grocery store, if this is the last time I'm going to come here, I'm going to be nice to you. I'm going to talk to you, and I just, it's just a good place to be, when you start just, and it's a balance, right? Because you want to change, you want the best for people, but sometimes the best for people is just loving them where they're at. And then let them find on their own journey where they fit into your life.
Yeah.
Because I think about like my dad, for example, I literally see him once a year. So for that once a year, is it filled with defensiveness, awkwardness, judgment, and not really wanting to be there? Or are we going to take that same time, which is going to happen regardless, and we're just going to be open with love and laughter and whatever joy we can find? But either way, that time's taking place, but how we show up is completely our choice.
Yep.
And it just feels good, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Why not choose what feels better, right? There may be a little bit of work on the front end, and there may be some internal dialogue you need to have to get yourself in that space. But even from a selfish perspective, I love putting things in a selfish perspective, so you can really see that at the end of the day, it's more for you, right?
Yeah.
Forgiving others is more for you. Loving others is more for you, because it feels better than having resentment and having dislike and having hate. Hate is toxic. There's a great quote. I forget who says it, but it's about how we're so silly in thinking it's like drinking poison, thinking that we're going to harm someone else. That's what hatred is. It literally is shown scientifically to have crippling effects on the body. It's very like stress, hatred, all of these negative, low vibrational emotions hurt your body. They kill you faster. You're killing yourself more quickly when you hold grudges, when you have resentment and hatred towards anything or anyone. You're killing yourself. You're drinking poison when you allow yourself to indulge in hatred. So choose love.
Yeah. Did we have an episode on choosing love?
Probably.
Way back in the day.
We got 106 now, baby. 106 episodes.
Yeah. And I just, you can't make everybody change, and you can't make everybody want what you think is best in their life. And I also think you got balance. Maybe you don't know what's best in their life. Maybe, for me, instead of wishing things would be different, just showing up. Because where they are, I have two options. Either I can show up one way or another way.
Mm-hmm.
But really, that's all I control. So if I show up with love, like, it's going to be a more enjoyable encounter. And maybe showing up in love opens their eyes to making changes. Or maybe it
And
doesn't. And I'm okay with that.
And one of the most surprising things is when we can lower our barriers and show up with love and acceptance and an open heart and open ears when we listen to others that maybe once before we disliked or judged or hated or whatever, we'd be surprised that there's a good chance if we really listen, we might be able to gain and learn something from them.
Yeah.
Even if it's the homeless 50-year-old man who's an alcoholic dude, drugged out dude on the street, okay? There may be a time where if you sit and have a conversation with this person, really listen, there's bound to be life experiences and lessons that he has had that we haven't had. This man has lived 50 years of life in a totally different way. There could be something there. Now, I'm not saying, stop and have a long conversation with every homeless person you ever cross. But what I am saying is maybe occasionally you do. Maybe every now and then you do take a moment and converse with that person or converse with somebody who seems to be totally opposite of you, who seems to maybe have nothing to offer you. Go try it. Have an open heart, have an open mind. You never know what you might be able to learn or gain.
And I think we're getting close to wrapping this one up. So I just thought I'd just share this example for our community and our listeners out there. This very program and all the programs that come from this program is a result of both of us being open to someone who on the surface is completely opposite of us. Right? This wasn't hey, we were at a joint meeting where we knew we had something in common and we had the same beliefs. We literally shared some workouts together. So we knew we had fitness. But beyond fitness, we had no idea, like MMA, we had no idea what we had in common. As a matter of fact, what appealed was that we didn't have much in common. So so I guess that's kind of full circle for me when I look at my life and the people that have brought me the most joy and the most opportunity and abundance, like yourself. It's from a place where I was learning and growing because we didn't have a shit ton in common. But we found that being on opposite sides of certain things, we could learn from each other. And because of your experience or different than my experience, I want to hear your experiences. Maybe it shifts how I viewed some of my experiences. Because you think about if we would have followed judgment and only like-mindedness and only people that are in our group, the On Purpose podcast wouldn't have happened.
Crazy thought.
So
that's true.
So accepting people where they are, right? You accepted me where I am and I accepted you where I am, but now we have the ability to influence each other. So now I can decide, do I shift a little bit on this or do I really believe what I believe? Right? And I look at this and I'm like, the meditation, I didn't do much of without you. The gratitude, I didn't do much of without you. The seeing love, like Courtney sees love. I think she's a byproduct of our relationship. Our relationship had nothing on the surface. It doesn't look like these two dudes should be hanging out. Right? Like, let's be honest. Most people, well, how many people were like, dude, you're doing a podcast with a retired cop? Like, what? Right? And then on my side, like, what? Wait, he's in the cannabis industry? What? And I'm like, yeah, dude, trust me, it's good. Well, then a byproduct is that now Courtney's here. And I get to share Courtney's influence. And like all the stuff that is different than what you currently believe makes you better. Because you're accepting people where they are and what you can learn from them. So that would be my challenge for our community, is to balance your desire to change everybody for what you believe is better with accepting them and loving them for where they're at right now in this moment. Because what if this moment is the last moment for you or for them? And I can tell you, this has been one of the better trips back to Montana for me as far as peace. Just enjoying people and then sharing. Like I've texted so many people, been like, "Hey, I appreciate you so much." Because what if this is our last day? It's gonna be somebody's last day today.
Hundreds of thousands of people.
And if it's mine, I don't want people going, "Boy, he was kind of nice to this group, but he was a sure asshole to me." So that's where I'm at with this one, my friend.
Sounds like we need a volume 2 of Extraordinary People in Ordinary Places, brother.
Yeah, I'm excited to get right. And that's one of my goals after some business changes, is to write another book. So, but I appreciate you, my friend. I wish you the best on your journey to Florida. And I just don't feel like I'm gonna miss you, because I get to see you so much this way. So,
just a new chapter.
yeah, I agree. You got anything else for the community, Ali?
Just love and gratitude. Love you guys and thank you guys.
We appreciate you being with us on this journey. And if you want to help us more, please join us on Patreon, where you can support the program and help us develop our purpose community and continue to grow it worldwide. So thank you all. And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.